What's up, guys?
All right. Let's go Ron, BJ, and then Mike.
Recording in progress.
So, Spence, you guys are coming off a season-high 5 sacks last week. I mean, how much of an emphasis was putting pressure on Jake Haener, and why'd you guys have so much success there?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, think the world of Jake Haener, like we were talking about last week, Ron, and knowing that if he was going to be able to sit back there and have his way, it was going to be a long day for us. So, hats off to our guys up front. I think we had a good plan going into it on how we could switch up the looks for Haener to where he wouldn't always know what's coming. But our guys executed, and hats off to them. And we were able to make plays when they came to us, and was fired up for those guys to get that production that they've been working to get.
Scott Matlock came into this season with 2 career sacks. He has 7 so far. Why is he so better in that area this year?
Well, Ron, with Scott Matlock, he absolutely works his tail off from January to right now. And so seeing him continue to step in to be the player he is, obviously not even only on passing situations. He is an absolute force to be reckoned with in the run game, especially seeing him be able to get this production has been huge. Because you won't find a better kid in regards to how hard he works and wants it more. So really proud of him and his development. And just like a lot of our guys around, I think this, he's still got a long way to go, and sky's the limit for Scott Matlock.
And you said 75% of pass rushing is get off. How do you coach get off?
Yeah, it's something that you always rep, so especially, high school kids and even early on in college, everybody wants to know this. I want to know the Von Miller pass rush move. That's what's going to make me a good pass rusher. But the key to pass rush is creating speed in the old lineman's feet to where if they don't kick back in time, you're just going to go by them. And then if they have to honor that, then all your other moves and counters off of that are going to come into play. And so teaching our guys, pre-practice to Indy, and our coaches have done a great job teaching it thus far, is the initial get off to create that stress for the offensive lineman. It could be the tackles, it could be the guards or centers. Then all your complements come off. If you're going to go speed to power, are you going to use a certain move, you're going to come up and under, whatever it might be. But if the old linemen you're going against aren't threatened at all by your initial get off, they're just going to sit on you, and it doesn't really matter. So teaching that from pre-practice, the initial steps, the steps to get to the set points, from practice to Indy, and then obviously repping in team periods and seeing it slowly come into fruition for our guys is cool to see.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Ron.
Hey, Spencer.
What's up, BJ?
Hey, the rush defense, I know the overall numbers aren't still great, but you guys have been much better the last, couple weeks here in stopping the run. And I guess kind of a 2-part question. What's been the difference lately in turning that around? And I think Wyoming in their last 2 games has rushed for 656 yards. So, what kind of challenge are you facing with Wyoming's running game?
Yeah, we know what it is with Wyoming. Their offensive scheme and who they got an elite rushing attack. They got great O-linemen, big old tight ends, great tailback, probably one of the best in our conference. And it's a great conference to play in, and there's a lot of great teams that run the ball, and I think Wyoming's one of the best. But in regards to us and us focused on us, really it starts with the coaches and putting them in good situations to make sure that they're in calls and schematically ready to execute against the run schemes we're seeing. But then our guys just really work their tail off from, early on the season to now, to where they're starting to do things at a high level. And it's not just the D-line, it's not just the backers, it's the corners, it's the secondary, where everybody knows where they're fitting. Because as you guys well know, watching these offenses, it's not like they're just turning around and handing the ball off. There's fly sweeps, there's movers, there's all these different things that create stress on a defense and create to where everybody's got to be ready to stop the run at the line of scrimmage. And the line of scrimmage is the entire width of the field. So teaching our guys where their fits are off of movers, off of fly sweeps, and where they're going to fit has been huge. And obviously still some growth there too, but excited where we're going.
You've obviously been around here now a few years now, and you guys have lost obviously 3 in a row at home on the blue. And I know that's just a weird thing to even say. What have you seen from the guys in terms of just being eager to get out there with a couple home games here and hopefully, reverse that trend at home?
Yeah. Obviously, first and foremost, it breaks my heart and it breaks the hearts of our players, losing in general, but especially losing on the blue, it breaks our heart. We take so much pride in this place and playing on that blue field for our fans and for this community that, I'd be remiss not to talk about how that still pains us. And so getting another opportunity for another opponent on the blue is huge. And it's first and foremost is we got to protect our home field. We got to protect the blue. It matters to us and it matters to our community. And so it's a huge deal to our guys. We talked about it yesterday with them. We're going to continue to talk about it throughout the week because we have to, and we haven't done a good job this season, and it starts with us, and getting that fixed is huge.
And final quick one for me. I mean, I know you guys go 1-0, one game at a time, but to have 3 games left now and still see a realistic path to reaching all your goals, the conference championship, bowl game, all that stuff. What's just the excitement level, big picture that you guys are here in November, 3 games left and still a ton to play for?
No, I appreciate it, BJ. I mean, the biggest thing for us is, from how the season's gone to this point, week, whatever it is, 11 of the season, 10 of the season, is as much as we say the 1-0, we really got to live that, because I think you can get caught up too much in, and I'm not trying to give you guys the coach speech, but who's maybe next, or if we win, or we need this team to lose, which will help us do this, or blah, blah. You can end up spinning your wheels. And I think what's helped us after, especially the loss to Air Force going into the bye week, was just, guys, we're going to control what we can control. There's a lot we need to grow in, starting with coaches. And then obviously from the player standpoint, we need to grow in and focused on what we can control. And then when you go out on Saturday or Friday night this coming week, it's going to show up. And it's going to show up because they know I just made my world this big, instead of worried about some of these things that you can't control. But it obviously fires us up that we still have a lot to play for, but it still doesn't change our attack in regards to it's 1-0, and we got a mission this week. And to your point to start, BJ, we got to protect the blue. And regardless what's like after Friday, we got to protect the blue, and it matters to us. It matters to me. It matters to our entire staff, and we got to get that done. It's a huge deal.
Appreciate it, sir.
Thanks, BJ.
Hey, Spence, you guys have been this football team. If there's one word to describe this season, it's been very inconsistent. Home, away, win, loss, whatever. But the one constant is this second half defense, and it goes all the way back to the beginning of the season. What trends are you seeing there, just in terms of just your defense in the second half is dominating opponents?
Yeah, I think it could be a lot of things, Mike. Obviously, first and foremost, I got to give praise to our players and just how they've, regardless of how the first and second quarters have gone, we go into halftime, we get some things fixed, we make some corrections, we make adjustments, and they're locked in. There's no, if they've had the best first half or the worst first half of the season, they're listening, they're on it, they're talking to each other. Our leaders are stepping up. They're being very vocal, because a player-led team is an elite team, and you're seeing them start to bring guys together like, hey, it's 0-0, whatever the score might be. We can be down, we can be up. I mean, even using this past weekend, for example, I forget what the score was at half. I don't know what it was, 16-7 or something like that at halftime, whatever it might be, but it's 0-0. And we know the teams, we play great offenses, and they're going to adjust, and they're going to have an answer for the things that we've shown them. And we're going to have different second half adjustments for switch ups that they haven't seen. But all that being said, I really just am very proud of our guys staying in the fight, regardless what happened in the first half, having them come out in the third quarter, play fast through the end of the game, regardless where the chips may fall. Our guys have stayed in the fight, and I think that just shows the character and the toughness of our defense and of our team being able to do that. And obviously, a lot of things we need to grow in, a ton we need to grow in, but there are some things that we're proud of.
Depending on water breaks and bathroom breaks, you may get 10 to 15 minutes max at halftime. Kind of walk us through what a halftime is like with your defense. Do you guys meet in groups? Do you meet as an entire defensive unit? Walk us through those 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, great question, Mike. So initially it's me and our 2 GAs sprinting down from the box, trying to get there as quick as we can. And in Fresno, there was a monster hill. So I about fell on the way down to the locker room. But then we'll get together essentially as a defensive staff. We'll talk with Coach Avalos, kind of what he's seeing, some things that maybe we made adjustments already in the second quarter, and we're gonna keep with those. And then it's really dialing in, how are we being attacked? What are the things that this offense likes against our defense, and what are some things we can do to combat that? Have we not used some calls that we're going to use? And so you kind of get that as a full defensive staff, and then we'll go bring the defense up. I'll talk to them real quick on just some quick adjustments and kind of like, trying to paint the picture for them on, hey, this is how this series in the third quarter is going to go. You're going to stop them on first down, stop them on second down. We're going to go get after them on third down. We're going to get off the field, trying to kind of get their minds ready for what's going to happen. And then we'll break up positionally, linebackers, secondary, D-line, kind of really fine tune a couple of the adjustments or some things we need to clean up from a fundamental and technique standpoint, and then we hit the field and we roll.
Thanks, Spence.
Thanks, Mike.
Let's go Bob and then Paul J. and John.
Spencer, watching the game, was Riley Wimpy more active blitzing? Did you use him more? Because it seemed like he was in the face of Haener quite a bit, and I just thought that maybe it was a different use of him this game.
Yeah, we had a couple different interior pressures to use those backers, just to continue to switch up those windows. Kind of like your question, Ron, was we just felt like we couldn't leave Haener without having to make him recreate his spot, and especially getting to him as quick as we can with the interior pressure was a goal going into the game, and it was pretty effective for us. So being able to use the backers to really attack downhill right now to the face of the quarterback was very effective in the game, and it was cool to see those guys execute it. And then having the compliments on the edges off it, I think it kind of helped the whole plan go.
And when you look at this week, they have a quarterback who will use his legs to run by design. That's part of their game plan. So how does that change things? We haven't seen a whole lot of that. We've seen some quarterbacks that can move, but I wouldn't say their first priority was to run.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge compliment to what they do as an offense. They will get in multiple personnels, 11, 12, 21, 22, 23. And so you're defending all these different sets and run schemes. And then you've got a quarterback like Levi Williams, who either, to your point, Bob, by design will have QB runs, but then also if he wants to drop back and pass, if there's an open hole, he's out. I mean, you watch the Colorado State game. I mean, it's 3rd and 5. They're on the logo, and he doesn't have a pass he wants. He takes off for the touchdown, 55-yard run, and beats all the angles of the defense. And so, He's got the legs to take it the distance, and he's a tough kid. You see him get hit, get right back up, and got a lot of respect for him as a quarterback and how they've trained him there at Wyoming.
What's been the difference for your guys against the run? The last couple of weeks, I'm looking at the job you guys did on Bailey at Colorado State, Rivers and Mims this past week at Fresno versus, say, a Warren and maybe a Bowser at UCF, where some of the big, powerful backs look like got the better of us early in the season, but now it's kind of switching around.
Yeah, kind of like to BJ's point, Bob, I think there's a lot of different things that go into it. Our guys have really taken big steps in their fundamentals and techniques, from the D-line to the linebackers to the secondary. And us coaches being able to simplify some of our schemes and being able to make sure everybody, all 11 of them, know where they're fitting, how they need to fit certain run plays. And then the communication side of things, so we're all on the same page, because very rarely, like we were talking about, is a team going to line up, show you what they're going to do, and run it. Usually there's going to be a lot of different window dressing, from fly sweep to different sets that are going to change your fit quickly. And so you got to know where that's coming from and know where your eyes got to be. And our coaches have done a great job getting our guys ready for the schemes we're seeing. And obviously there's still a lot of growth to be had, but I'm proud of the steps we've taken.
Thanks, Spencer. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Bob.
Spence, the first interception against Fresno State kind of quieted the crowd. They'd had a couple of big offensive plays that quieted the crowd down. J.L. Skinner's interception, I thought, shut the door in the second half before the other interceptions and takeaways really helped take the crowd out of the game. And the stands were empty at the end of the game. Now, this week, takeaways would get the crowd to stay and the crowd to be noisier. How important are they?
Paul, they're huge. I mean, they're absolutely huge. It's a huge emphasis for us. Tackling, pursuit, and takeaways are the 3 monster emphases for us as a defense. And creating them, if it's from special teams to defense, is more times than not how you win football games. And if you have an offense that doesn't turn the ball over and you create takeaways, as long as you can be +1 in the turnover margin, more times than not, you're going to win those football games. And being able to steal those possessions and give the ball back to our offense is just such a huge, critical part in us being successful as a full team. And our guys understand that. It's been cool to see them get those takeaways and make those plays, because they're difference makers in whatever ball game you're playing.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Paul.
Spencer, I mean, this town, they're not going to allow for a lot of on-the-job training from coordinators, but in your case, how much of a learning process is there with a first-year coordinator at this level of football? I would imagine, are you feeling a lot more confident, and you're just a better football coach today than you were in late August?
Yeah, no doubt, John. I mean, I think just like anything, I'm growing every single minute of every single day, and I'm not just telling you guys that just because I'm supposed to. I really do feel that way, and I'm learning from players to coaches to people around me to the games. So learning every single moment, from January to now, my list of notes on things that maybe I did, and I think that's something that I want to do again, and some things that I did that I'm like, that was stupid, never do that again, from football to maybe how I handled some situation. So learning so much week in and week out, and we got a great group of guys and a great staff, and I lean on Coach Avalos a ton, and just being able to learn and grow through these moments and kind of fine tune some of the things that we need to be here as a defense, and how we're going to continue to take steps to continue to improve have been huge. But, long story short, to your question, John, learning and growing every single moment, and going to continue to learn and grow this week.
Spencer, I'm fascinated by the second half statistics and the adjustments. Prater and I are going to talk about it today on our show. And I know he asked you a little bit about it, but just kind of back to what do you like? What do you think works well with your process, how you guys go about your business and coming up with these second half game plans that seem to be working so well? What do you think is the best part of that?
Yeah, I think it's just collectively as a staff, as the first and second quarter are going, we're communicating as a defensive staff with Coach Avalos and going through, okay, this is working, this isn't. These are some things we need to switch quickly. These are some things we're going to have to talk to our guys about at halftime. So you're kind of going, what's working? How are we being attacked? And what are some things we can do to switch it up to help us play better in the second half? And obviously making them small enough to where your guys can, easily make those adjustments, but not, bog them down with too much schematics. And then obviously I think, just so much of it goes to our players and just being open to whatever a quick adjustment might be. If it might just even be a fundamental or a technique, or, cleaning up someone's eye control, and being able to take that coaching, learn from it, and go out in the third quarter and start fast has really been the key. I mean, my hat's off to our players and how they've been able to handle these certain situations.
Thanks, Spencer.
Thanks, John.
All right, Spencer, appreciate the time. Thanks very much.
Appreciate you guys. We'll see you in a couple days.
Recording stopped.